You frighten me, Mr. Reed, Bierce said. Why is that? Because according to your creed, you'd be willing to tear up the Constitution of the United States. It's a piece of paper, Reed said. A good one, mind you, he added, but a piece of paper nonetheless. That's kind of funny. Hello, BookTube. Today we have El Paso by Winston Groom. If you'd like your own copy, use my affiliate link down below to bookshop.org. For you to purchase this book, don't purchase this book. Get the ebook. Be nice to your eyes and get the ebook. This has the worst font ever in a book that I've ever gotten. The worst font. I don't know why this publisher hates us. Get the ebook. But anyway, if you purchase it using my affiliate link down below, I get a small commission. You can also book it. No extra cost to yourself. It's a win-win. It's a great way to help support the channel. You can also support the channel by liking and sharing and commenting and subscribing and all that fun stuff. I love the comments. Also, this is June on the Range. If you're finding me through June on the Range, let me know down below also in the comments section. I have a ton of Western content on this channel. If you're into Westerns, hit that subscribe button. I got a bunch of stuff. I have a bunch of stuff more planned for the year. It's like nonstop Western content. Yeah. About Winston Groom. Winston Groom was an American novelist, historian, and storyteller, best known for creating one of the modern literature's most iconic characters, Forrest Gump. Born in 1943 in Washington, D.C., and raised in Alabama, Groom blended a southern wit, sharp observation, and a deep sense of American history throughout his work. He wrote across genres, fiction, military history, biography, and earned national recognition for his ability to turn complex historical events into vivid, accessible narratives. Beyond Forrest Gump, Groom authored acclaimed works on the Civil War, World War II, and American political figures, cementing his reputation as a writer who understood both the humor and the gravity of the American experience. Groom's legacy lives on through his storytelling, warm, insightful, and unmistakably human. And unmistakably human. I can't read. I don't know why I have a BookTube channel. I cannot read. About this book, it says print length $4.96. That might be true with all the extra stuff. Otherwise, it's $474 plus like some book club stuff in the back. So it's a little chonky thing. Language English. The publisher is Liverite, which I think is it a W.W. Norton imprint? Yeah, it looks to be like a W.W. Norton imprint. Publication date October 4th, 2016. For some reason, I thought this was a 2020 book. Maybe he died in 2020. Is that what it is? Is that where I'm getting 2020 from? I don't know. Doesn't matter. A synopsis. I will say, don't go reading the synopsis on the back of the book. It's spoiler. It has a big spoiler in it. At least I think it's a big spoiler because it happens like halfway through the book. And when something like major happens halfway through the book, I do not feel like it's not a spoiler. So I did kind of edit this a little bit. I stole it from Amazon. Long fascinated with the Mexican Revolution and the vicious border wars of the early 20th century, best-selling author Winston Groom brings to life a much-forgotten period of history in this episodic saga set in 6 parts. Pitting the legendary Pancho Villa against the Colonel, a thrill-seeking Bostonian railroad tycoon whose fading fortune is tied up in the Colossa Ranch in Chihuahua, El Paso, opens during a time of dramatic upheaval in Mexico, its government being squeezed on one end by Villa's revolutionaries and on the other by filthy American capitalists. Good to see the capitalists haven't changed their ways, right? Content, I just lost half my viewership right there. Content to observe the war from abroad, his dazzling yacht. Aboard his dazzling yacht, the Ajax, the colonel is suddenly pulled into this drama when his famous Valle de Sol ranch is raided for nearly $2.5 million in beef on the hoof. Oblivious to the realities of war and hoping to salvage his losses, the colonel whisks his family down to Mexico, where they make a disturbing discovery. This is where I took out a chunk of stuff. It goes on to tell things that happen halfway through the book. Synopsis should not do that. Frantic, the aging patriarch and his adopted son race to El Paso, hoping to gather a group of cowboys brave enough to hunt down the General Lonesome on his own turf. As the desperate Yankees quickly learn, once they return to Chihuahua, their deep pockets and political clout mean next to nothing in a crumbling nation rife with communist sympathizers. After weeks of searching and with no trace of Villa, the colonel fears all is lost. That is until a twist of fate unites his party with that of Johnny Olas. Bloodied and battered, the two factions unite, galloping off on an extraordinary manhunt through some of the most inhospitable terrain on earth, the vast and snake-ridden Sierra Madre. The novel explodes into an epic as an extraordinary cast of characters from both history and imagination begin to emerge, all vying to get their hands on the ever-elusive Villa. No matter what prize each player ultimately seeks, no one is left unscathed in the sprawling story of heroism, injustice, and love, replete with shootouts, daring escapes, and an unforgettable bullfight. El Paso brings to life a crucial moment in history, and in the process becomes indelible portrait of the American Southwest and the final days of the wild frontier. So yeah, this is actually set in, I think it was 1913. So as far as Westerns go, this would be pretty late. It's not your typical Western either. It's almost as much a historical fiction than it is a Western. But it has a lot of Western themes in it. So I think it still qualifies for June on the Range quite nicely. Reflections. I do have a reflection from this book. I think my biggest takeaway is that in a revolution, no side ever stands entirely in the right. One injustice leads to another, and the conflict snowballs into a feud that can last for generations. People end up fighting battles they didn't start, or grievances that never personally touched them. So who is right? Is it the Americans who lawfully bought the land for pennies and then put the Mexicans to work in conditions that resembled slave labor? Or is it Pancho Villa who tried to reclaim the land through violence and other questionable methods in the name of giving it back to the Mexican people? In many ways, he saw himself as a kind of a Robin Hood. But when injustices is met with more injustice, the cycle becomes self-perpetuating. People inherit fights they never chose, and everyone believes they are the hero of the story. My thoughts. Winston Groom is probably best known for Forrest Gump, and honestly, I didn't even realize this was Forrest Gump was a book until El Paso landed on my radar. This is my first Groom novel, and I have to say it was absolutely fantastic. A great comparison for El Paso, I believe, was Lonesome Dove. Both novels follow a wide cast of characters whose paths cross and diverge in ways that feel organic and deeply human. Both are filled with morally complicated people, characters you're not always sure you should like, yet you can't look away from. Groom handles this especially well with Pancho Villa. He writes Villa in a way that makes you question whether he's truly the monster history points him as, at least until he does something gruesome. Then you kind of realize, okay, he is a monster, but the violence in this book is vivid and sometimes shocking, but it never feels gratuitous. It feels like it's a part of the world that Groom is faithfully recreating. Mexico in the early 20th centuries, I don't know a lot, but I do know it was bloody. So, I did see some of the complaints about this book online. This isn't actually very highly rated on the Goodreads. But one of the complaints online was that it's a pretty gruesome book, but it's also set in a very gruesome time. So I think it's warranted in the gruesomeness of the book. Oh, so what surprised me most is how human Groom makes Villa or Villa. Sorry, I should be saying the Villa, not Villa. I'm saying it like a gringo. Villa. Uh, Few writers could pull off that balance of charisma, menace, idealism, and cruelty, but Groom manages it with nuance. The book itself is a slow burn, not a barn burner from page one, but it never drags. Um, Again, that was another thing I saw. When I'm done reading a book, a lot of times I go to Goodreads, kind of see what other people think of it, and I've seen a lot of people say it was, just boring, and I don't think they were reading the same book I was reading. It's not, a typical Western tends to be like 150 pages, and just in very fast paced. This is not like Lonesome Dove, where you really have to give it time to breathe and develop, and you know just let it do its thing. So I'm wondering if a lot of people just went into it with the mindset that they're about ready to read a Louis L'Amour novel or Elmore Leonard or whatever, and just it was not that. The story always feels like it's building towards something when it finally arrives. The last 100 pages are absolutely electric. It becomes a true page turner. Like Lonesome Dove, I found myself sinking into the expansive world, getting lost in the landscape and characters and the sense of history unfolding around them. It is genuinely immersive reading experience. If anything, El Paso left me thinking about how revolutions blur the lines between right and wrong. Groom shows how injustice on one side breeds to injustices on the other, and how people end up fighting battles they never choose. Everyone believes they are the hero, even when the truth is far more complicated. That lingering moral ambiguity is part of what makes the novel so powerful. So there you go. There's my thoughts on El Paso by Winston Groom. Let me know down below. Have you read this? Uh, do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? I'm not saying that it's as good as Lonesome Dove. However, I thought it was pretty gosh darn good. And like I said, I think in a lot of ways the reading experience is the same for me. So if you enjoyed Lonesome Dove, if you enjoyed especially like the characters and how there were so many and they were interwoven and they came and go, if you like that part of the book, you're probably gonna like this one. If that part of the book you didn't like and you like a much more like straightforward, forgive me for possibly misusing the wrong term, narrative. You want more of like a straightforward narrative. I'm not very good on my bookish terms. I know I'm terrible. This probably isn't going to be for you. However, like I said, if you like the experience with Lonesome Dove, you're probably going to enjoy this one. I've not seen anybody talk about this one. This one, I don't know. I don't see anybody talking about Winston Groom and period. Pretty much. When I looked up this book on YouTube, I found some like interviews and stuff with Winston Groom, but I didn't find anybody that actually talked about this book. So I'd be interested in seeing if other people pick it up and read it and what they think of it. And yeah, I thought it was absolutely fantastic. So Winston Groom, I know you passed away, but good job, absolute banger. 10 out of 10. We'll do it again. That's it for this one, peeps. Cheers. Hold on,